In this tutorial, we are going to learn how to take the rhythm of an audio file and apply it to a synthesizer pad and generate a counter rhythm in the synthesizer pad through a technique called sidechaining. Here's the finished product. If I disable the sidechain compression, you'll hear the synth pad is simply playing a sustained chord. But when I enable the sidechain compression, it's taking the peaks that are found in this audio file and bringing down the volume of the synth pad at the same time. Let's hear both together. Okay, so I'm going to disable everything and build this up from scratch. Okay, so here is our starting point. Alright, we want to enable a compressor. Note that I have the compressor in the same track as the synthesizer pad, and it is below the synthesizer in the order of inserts. It needs to be below to affect the synthesizer sound. I'll open that. And when you open a compressor, it's basically affecting the volume level of the track that it's inserted into. In other words, whenever the synth pad plays a note, it triggers the compressor to engage or not engage depending on how strong the settings are. So if I press play, we should see this window and these levels reading the synthesizer pad sound. Let's see if we see anything. So you'll see the levels turn on with the synth pad and off. They're not following the rhythm of the audio file above. Our goal is to get this drum file or this track to actually trigger the compression's on and off settings so that when the drums are loud, the compression kicks in and it compresses the synth pad. So we're using the drum track as a control track and the synth pad track as the affected track. To do this, we need to do side chaining. So we're going to send the output of the drum track via a bus, maybe choose 9, and we're going to send that output to the key input of our compressor. Notice this key here. So if I choose the same bus, now I've made a connection between the drums track and the synth pad's compressor insert. If I were to press play now, we should see no effect. Okay, we're still not seeing anything since the send or bus fader is all the way down. So I need to put that up to 0. And also we need to go back to the compressor and look at this area that says sidechain. We need to enable it to read the bus input or the key input. Now it should be reading the drum loop and we'll see this pulse along with it. Let's see without hearing the synth. See how the compressor is now pulsing with the drum part. It's reading the bus 9 input. That is selected and the key is selected. Now let's turn on our synth and we should hear the pulsing synth with that. And there it goes. Now one last thing. It might be nice to use the rhythm of this drum loop without hearing the drum loop. So the synth has a rhythm and maybe we'll use a different drum pattern. If I am to pull the fader out or mute the drum pattern, listen to what happens. Okay, now there's no compression effect because when we mute the drum pattern, we're also muting the send of the signal down bus 9. So we need to go into what's called pre-fader mode. Now if we mute the drums or turn the volume down on the drum fader, we'll still get a signal through the bus. So now it should be working. And there you have it. We could use one other thing for the source besides audio. We could use the metronome. The metronome also generates audio and it's a steady rhythm. So let's try that. I'm going to send the metronome down a bus. How about 7? Let's turn it on and see what's playing first. Okay, and we are going to send that down bus 7. We want to make sure there's a signal going up. we'll put it in pre-fader mode so we can turn the metronome sound off, and we'll change our key input to bus 7 to match the metronome's bus output. Now let's watch the compressor. Notice it's following the metronome. Whenever this little dot gets into the red, it's going to apply compression. So we could change the threshold and apply more compression. How about now? That should be even stronger. Okay, everything seems to be set up correctly. Let's turn our synth back on. Let's hear it. There. The metronome is now creating a rhythm. So we could change up the rhythms in the metronome and change up the rhythm of the pad. Last thing, we probably want to take the sound of the metronome out, mute it, stay in pre-fader mode, and go.